almost. They were so close to having those opportunities to have those one-team fights with the Twilight Dream. That's why they picked the Malfurion. That and the Root could potentially kill the Illidan if it gets locked down, which happened in the early game in lane. But what we're watching today is the double support comps are winning the fights for Mighty. The macro play is where Black is shining. But the draft might have to change here for MV Black. If they just ban the Oriole, they can play their game the way they want to.
Yep, and I think Stitch, it all starts from the Stitches ban. Both MVP teams putting so much pressure, putting so much priority onto Stitches, and Mighty knowing that they're studying so hard against all the teams they face against. I feel like it shows from the starting of the drafting. And game number 4, this is the macro map. Mighty will be tested on their macro. We're going into Dragonshire.
That's right. So I say on this map, if you're Black, you can let them have Oriole, but I'd love just to see them ban it. And then take a different approach to winning everything else, every other aspect. Take the Dahaka, play that macro they're so good at.
Black played 0 Dahaka this season.
That's
not
been
the
a
thing.
highly picked hero.
We don't even know who's going to be on Dahaka.
Well, it will likely be Rich, but...
Because oftentimes when they need a global, they brought Sake in with the false stat, but now with the bringing of the Tassadar, they will be lacking in global. Maybe they will bring in Avatar, but I think Kyocha stepping into a support role is really lacking in their hero pool potentials with the team comp right now.
I think Rich being unwilling to play the Tassadar was a big factor there. And I know that if we get... Oh my god, they're just doing everything I want. Oriole coming out as the first ban. So if we get to have the interview with Rich, which will likely be the case if Black is able to win the series, which is not a given, especially if you watch Game 2 and Game 3 there, I want to see if the reason why Zeratul was picked is because Rich didn't want to play the Tassadar, because they could have easily flexed Sake onto a mage there, would have been the better answer. So Stitches is going to be the first pick here with Oriole removed. And we'll see if this ends up being the Kael'thas Dragonshire draft with the Uther, if it's left available. So you have the Uther for the follow-up stun, the Kael'thas for the follow-up stun. Very powerful. I think Mighty will definitely consider the Uther pick right now to prevent that draft.
But Black will be still...
Whoa! They want to make this happen again with the Illidan pick, but I don't think this draft is going to go as well for them as it did last time.
Yep, and they left Uther, and both Malfurion is open, which is a very good pair up with the hook. And even if they took, even if Mighty took Uther, they still have Malfurion, which is the combo for the hooks. So Black could have been smiling. So instead, I think they went for Illidan Tassadar before it's banned away from MVP Black's side. Good approach from both sides, and here comes Malthael once more coming out from Rich, and the perfect pair up, as we mentioned, Malfurion with the Stitches.
Yeah, not really that common, but remember, or not anymore, right? Because of the nerfs to Malfurion was very much the pairing in the old times. So your statement is still very true. Waiting for what comes for the other pairings for the Stitches hooks to the last 2 picks. And so the Grey Mane ban. This could be a Kael'thas coming out. Remember, we've seen it several times on this map with the Stitches comp, usually with Uther, not the Malfurion. Even though it's a rare pick, it's definitely one that could come up here. So Uther gets banned. They're not going to have that Divine Shield to allow Good to carry the fights with that one. So
both top supports banned already, and Dragonshire, they're not really focusing on global. Mighty already having Illidan. They can bring in the hunt for the global, and it's actually Black. But oftentimes when they go in with the Stitches pair, they don't really focus on global. They focus on picks, CC chain, and all the team fighting potential. So I don't think they're going towards that way.
Well, now Li Ming, who was the hero I felt was the best option to deal with Illidan in the last game, is removed. And this could still... Well, no, never mind. I lost my train of thought there. But I had a point I wanted to make, but it slipped away. But for Black now, what's going to be the answer here for the Illidan? They don't have the Cassia this time to worry about with the blind, so it's not as much important for them to grab a mage. Kael'thas has been used to deal with heavy dive comps in the past, like the Illidan Tyrael, because of his ability to just living bomb everybody and punish them for stacking up.
Yeah, we didn't see too much on Nubarak today, and they are actually going all in with so much damage on their side. And Sake's Falset is making an appearance tonight. They thought Stitches was enough, as the Grey Mane is already banned from Mighty. no curse bullet, so maybe he can tank a lot with support. Malfurion with the nerfs to it though. Rich will have to have the perfect sustain in the front line.
I wonder if this will be Mage Falstad or AD Falstad. AD is the one that screams out at me even with the Illidan of Age, but Falstad can help get burst kills when you have Malfurion too. The silence comes in, the big Q comes down, and you smash the team fight that way. They have so much wave clear. The Soul Lane is insanely strong for MVP Black as well. So I'm liking this draft. It's a better approach. It's an unusual draft with even the Falstad coming in, but they're just, as you said, prioritizing the globals, the macro over the team fighting. That's what Mighty has been bringing. Just going to be there looking for a tank here. Might just be the standard Muradin.
Or if they want to go all dive in, Anubarak is still available, and that's going to be it for Mighty. I think this is a very good, solid dive-in draft coming out from Mighty. Even Leeming can dive in with the Calamity damage, and Rehgar is a perfect combo too.
So Anubarak is going to be very useful at disrupting how Black wants to play, especially with the Tychus and Falstad, two squishies. They have some decent mobility, but Anubarak can disrupt that. Here we go. Mighty has been drafting well. They've been team fighting well. But can the global composition of MVP Black out-macro them to close out the series? We're going to find out right now on Dragonshire. In blue, Reset on Tychus, Sake on Falstad, Coach on Malfurion, Rich on Malthael, and Tist on Stitches.
And in red, Mighty. Joker on Anubarak, BDG on Leeming, Good on Illidan, Nasang on Rehgar, and Magi on Tassadar.
So cooldown reduction here for the Uther Innervate with Shando's taken at level 1.
So the reason why Dehaka didn't make an appearance at the end for Mighty, they already have Illidan as the semi-global, and also Good will be playing on Illidan, which he is the player on Dehaka oftentimes. So
yeah, they needed a main tank.
And Anubarak is the favorite pick from Joker, so I think that was the team comp they were looking for, and they did get it. And their dive looks insanely crazy right now against the sustain heal that does not provide burst heal. I think if they make the perfect engage, like Anubarak coming up from the side with a surprise dive, they can get multiple picks just like that.
Okay, well, stun gets Sake up. There's the helping hand. So you can see what could go wrong. They actually have follow-ups for these fights. Really nice zoning route here for Kyocha to try to get the damage done on the BDG. It's actually really well done. He'll be able to heal himself up no problem. Okay, so we're seeing the collapse here. This is the 2v1 to deal with Malthael and solo. But here comes the flight up for Sake. Wanted to turn this actually, but unfortunately against these two heroes, getting a pick is basically impossible. But at least relieves some of the pressure there for Rich in the top lane. The cost of this obviously is that they lose a man briefly. Nice dodge by Reset. They actually almost get the pick there. And this is going to force a big reaction out of Mighty because they can't control that bottom temple anymore.
Looks like they're going for the kill, and Rich barely finds the kill at the very end. I think it wasn't even needed to go into strike. And notice the moving of Reset because he is the player of Leeming. When the orb disappears, the moment it disappears, it's like he knows exact range, how far it's going to go, and he backed off and then came back in right after.
Yeah, he's Leeming main B2W, so he's very much accustomed to dealing with those. So Kyocha will tap here for the extra mana, and the extra sustain coming out from Shando's here, giving, or not sustain, but you could call it sustain for mana, but more cooldown reduction for Reset. It's just constantly winning this lane super hard. Nasong's out of mana, but he can't really leave during this high-stakes situation, or else it's going to be a Dragon Knight for MVP Black for sure. Does have Feral Heart, so he's just trying to heal up his own mana as he sits in wolf form. The CCs are real onto Tist, but still, he's winning the lane, which means he could definitely unleash if they grab this bot temple.
Yep, but because they're spending both sources a lot of the time to release the pressure and to harass Illidan, so the top cannot be pushed for now, and Malthael is winning the lane anyhow, and so they are, because they lack in resources at the bottom, they will lose it for the time being, but when Falstad or Stitches comes around like this, when they're looking for those hooks, they will have to be careful.
Well, this is, I like how Mighty decided to deal with this, just to heavily collapse on this lane, where the wave clear was super good and Kyoto was just giving the extra Shandos. But that was an unusual heal there. It's like, maybe if I heal him, he'll get shields from this. This is full health. Good is caught here yet again. Slow's coming out from the hammering. Barely gets it there, connecting actually with the W of Falstad to finish that one off.
Seems like Illidan is having a tough time. Maybe they want to lane swap later on. That's also a very good choice for Mighty right now. But doing tons of damage to Stitches, getting body blocked. Seems like the damage is barely enough. There's
but the cost is high. Ooh, gets the heal though. That actually will be a double for Mighty. That was a close call, but they turned it around.
Ooh, look at the skill shots coming out from BDG.
Threading the needles on those. That was a very close to being no kill and losing 2, and they turned it around. It was well done. The heal coming in super clutch there.
Yeah, at the very end.
Then the dominance obviously coming in for Li Ming. It's like, well.
If Li Ming had 7, that could have been a lot more disastrous, but basic attack was enough to take the kill at the very end. But Rich, for now and for a while, has been winning the top lane so hard. And Illidan is even more pressured with the camp. Just making sure that the top lane is not pressured. They're not losing too much, because that Illidan later game with the Hunt will be a big harass for them, even though they have Sake.
Yeah, that's the pseudo-global they have. Ooh, Rich committing in here. They really want to force some aggression. This is going to allow perhaps the channel in mid. Unleash is going off. Rich is going to lose a lot of health here. He's going to go down. It looks like the slows. Maybe enough? Man, everything I say, just the opposite happens today. Dimensional shift comes out. Sake's got the barrel roll, but the shield is real. Still not enough. Has the heals, of course, from his hammer gains.
That was a close call for Rich also.
Yeah, that was insane.
Barely escaped. That was a good bait, too. What a well-played laning 2v2 there. It was a good fight. Meanwhile, there's a big push onto the bottom lane. BDG with the skill shots, of course, has been helping, but this is also the thing. Malthael is a very good solo camp too, because of all the percent damage with the trait. And even with the upgraded trait later on, it's even more easier.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, here comes the collapse of the Nubrak here.
Ooh,
could be Unleash. This is going to be resets here for BDG, but they need to actually channel the Shrine. They failed to channel the Shrine, so even though they got the picks, they wanted to be aggressive. They could have stood on a little bit faster, but unfortunately no one was mid, so Sake just gets a free Dragon Knight from this, and they get level 10.
That was
a moment for sure.
Too easy for MVP Black to take it, actually. Of course, it takes a longer time to actually take the Shrine than the time to actually channel for the Dragon Knight. But that was almost a free Dragon Knight going to Black, and this will be even more kills as Stitches is looking for the hook from the other side, maybe?
Yep, perfect hook there. Even without having the full vision, was able to predict, obviously, where Nubrak would be. Though the Burrow charge, he still gets away, but they have a Dragon Knight. They're getting soaked at all 3 lanes. Look at Malthael versus Illidan. Good luck, good up here. And the mid lane is pushed. The Dragon Knight's actually coming up here. And in bot, they have the Siege Giant camp, so they're working on the bot fort. So this is massive for Black. But finally, we do have the level 10s on the side of Mighty. That pseudo global you were talking about with Good is now online.
It's now online, but that's after they are pressured in top lane and at the same time the bottom lane with the Dragon Knight push. So they want to make this work right now with the big push onto Good, but
look at what Rich is
on
doing.
The other side, it's crazy, and Falstad with the Cocoon will buy some time only. Rich is buying the time for 3 members of Mighty right now, alone.
And this Siege Giant camp remains. Finally going to get taken out here by all the DPS coming out for Mighty, but look at the top wave. It's pushing the fort. Rich just hearthed home to get the rest of his mana back. He can just go up and clean that top fort as Mighty's desperately dealing with these Siege Giants. Everyone's getting low on mana. Everyone's got to go back. It's going to be Sake who shows up here first to 1v1 Good. Push this wave out with his level 7, his Boomerang. And look, this is a bait. This is a bait. Baited.
Big baited, but Rich, another bait coming out from
Here's
Maki on the other side.
Counter bait. And now Rich is gonna doesn't really have any escapes.
That's unfair. He brought his friends.
Yeah, he's cheating. They actually saved the fort.
That's nice, but their mill fort is already gone. They got the kill on the Falstad, but I think Sake has the flight available, so it's not the worst thing for Black, but with this, they will have catch up in the macro a little bit.
Little bit. 13's on the horizon here for Black. We're going to take this cap. Looks like Black was considering potentially going for an invade here, but without Falstad. Not really reasonable. Good's going to take this cap, which will help defend that top fort for a little bit longer. Actually, I'm not sure. Nope, that wave should kill it. Not actually getting a shot of it, but it will probably die off screen. Just watching that minimap like a hawk right now. There it goes. And so now Black takes that level 13 with that fort kill. Can easily, during this moment in time, have the pressure relieved in the bot lane. They're clearing that up right now while also taking this cap because the solo quick clear time that Melt has. Illidan has a quick one too, but this ends up being a better timing for them. Because now we can just come up, clear this, and then have the wave push to help him win the top shrine. So no one really needs to rotate up for Black on the top shrine. It's actually Mighty who wants to, if they want to secure this, rotate up. And that's exactly what they're going to do here. Try to collapse onto Rich. But this pressure allows now, because they sent everyone up, Black to take another siege camp to continue to push bot.
They spent a lot of time going up there and doing nothing.
Yeah,
because
heavy commitment.
The first wall is still very healthy there. Because they had all the early push with the Falstad from the beginning against Illidan. That's the power they're using right now to go against Illidan's camping right now. See, Illidan isn't really doing anything, just going around the map for the last 20 minutes. Now finds the camp onto the top lane because if he steps over, maybe he'll find himself dead just like the beginning of the game.
Okay, here's the attempted burrow charge here. The force wall moves him away. The gust comes in here. They want to take this fight. Illidan is going to hunt in as well. Just a moment. He goes on to Sake here. Big Twilight Dream going off. Can they heal Sake up? He's under fire. Looks like Nasong is going to be the first to die. Good gets through here, and we'll try to escape now. 2 dead, unfortunately, though, and even though the commitment was on to Sake, he is just able to do so much extra damage. The Cocoon not going to do anything here. That's going to be a long cooldown.
Cocoon used the way too late, and Rich being on the front line. You do not want to get close to the Death God there. You do not want to get close, and also just landing on that hook. Perfect target, and Rich getting the kill with the strike at the very end. That team fight went from beginning to end for Black's side.
Well, 16 is going to be here in just another minion wave. We grab it here with the Dragon Knight. Look at all the pressure now. Dragon Knight's even going to come bot, not even going to try to look for the mid-keep wall. Just going to push bot to eliminate this early. And Mighty is in dire straits now. At least they dodged the Dragon Knight kick here, but this looks like it's very well likely to be a keep. They get any picks. Ice Block well used here against the Hunt and the Burrow charge in. Now Nasong's out of position. Joker eating the damage here.
He can't go in and heal because he's on the other side and he has to make a retreat. Meanwhile, this team fight is happening.
When Rich pops out, Tormented Souls is going to pop with it. And he's just team fighting with the Dragon Knight right now. Could have even canceled it for the team fight win, but wants to get the maximum value out of it instead. Gets the kill on the Li Ming. BDG gone. This is going to be the keep they were looking for. Very
nice kick from Rich, and also Ancestral healed and saved the Nubarak, but without BDG, of course, they were lacking damage. And if the healer's on the other side of the team fight, you can't go in and heal because the moment you go in, you will die. What a kick from Rich there.
I got a kick out of it myself. Are you going to kick me off the casting desk?
Oh, you were kicked yesterday, so it's okay. You're back now. And Lag, of course, with that 2.5 level lead already. But because of the early pressure onto, I think they could have lane swapped from the beginning. It could have made things a little bit better. Black knew exactly how to go with the laning, snowballed from the very beginning. The top lane, losing the top lane, top fort very early was unfortunate for Illidan because now so out macro they can't really go off the map and do the macro things that he wants to do because they're so pressured.
Absolutely true. Well, the game isn't over yet, and we have seen some crazy stuff in this series, but Mighty has the cards stacked against them now. It was Black who almost had the amazing comeback in Game 3. They had the great late game fights with Kerrigan in the comeback on Game 2, but now they're massively ahead. Joker's already dead.
Now. Oh, that's painful. Ancestral was available, but not here. So he was taking all the time to clear all the pressure from the bot lane. That's the power of macro coming out from MVP Black, and this is the map. They will use it against you. And there's Odin pop. It seems like they want to go all in and take this keep out too.
Odin's going to be its own kind of mini Dragon Knight, if you will. No kicks, unfortunately, but they're just burning this down. And no one can really go and deal with the temples either in just a minute. They're going to have to stay back and clear the waves. The keep is not completely down, but Reset is committing to it right now. Need a little bit more poke. They don't have the best sieging composition. Looks like it's going to live for now. Moggy coming over. Rich in position to perhaps drop down those Tormented Souls. Here it is.
There's a 3-level gap. Team fight for Mighty. There's a Cocoon, but Joker does not get assess rolled.
Rich was cocooned, which is actually well done to put him out of the fight, but he still did so much damage even before that happened. This is going to be the dead keep here, and everyone is just burning down from the soul rips here. Hunt comes in. Will they get Sake this time? The Gust doesn't actually hit. The Twilight Dream does, but it doesn't even matter. Don't need those to win this fight. BDG is trying to get resets here. Unfortunately, don't know if he will get any more. Because now the core is going to be under attack. Siege minions coming in the mid lane. The bot lane here already has 2. We're seeing BDG try to use Disintegrate to clear it out. They will live to fight another day, but they are the rare 4 levels down. As 20 is now reached for MVP Black.
Yeah, even worse with the Epic Mount. Falstad, when he comes back alive, he will have that mount available. And actually, Harvest finished very late into the game. But now, Malthael will be even more stronger with 2 extra seconds on the straight every single time. And Test in the front line, he is not scared at all because they are 3 levels ahead. That's crazy right now.
Could have been a production bug too, could have been there all along. We'll never know because I didn't actually count the time, but still, he has it now for sure, we know. Joker just barely survives here. The scaling advantage, the extra DPS onto the tank here from that trait. Pretty massive, and with this Dragon Knight, you would have to expect that Black is just going to cross the finish line, march down the red carpet, victory lane. We see the Miracle Hold here from Mighty. Without level 20, it's going to be very difficult to pull off. Joker's already eating so much damage here as Reset just turns on the minigun. Here comes the Hunt. Has the Odin, though, for the armor.
That Gust was beautiful to eliminate, and Nasan gets taken off. No Ancestral either. And the Hunt was already used. Good is doing what he can from the other side. Twilight Dream will be available with...
There it is.
Oh my, that's the instant. With the silences, and Joker will be the only one along with BDG. Not even BDG, the only one right now, and the core is going down. That's a full team wipe. Looks like what this is going to be the end of the series, going to MVP Black.
That it will be. Well fought by Mighty. Definitely exposed some of the weaknesses of MVP Black in this series. Showed their skill in team fighting. Showed the strength of the double support Aerial comps that we've seen experimented with all throughout last week. We saw it used yesterday by MVP Miracle. But MVP Black not willing to run it. They want to win the games by macro. They want to win the games by Malthael. And in that game especially, showcasing the power of a strong soul laner, good rotational play, the global support there from the Falstad, the pushing of the forts. And that is the 3-1 coming in for MVP Black.
And also that chicken sound at the end, real taunt coming out from Sake. That's the kind of Gust that I want to see. When one dives in, leaving the rest of the team, that instant moment, good. He was surprised and he had to back out with his Q. There was no way of surviving when he was there alone. And just the push was amazing. And Rich, if you let him free without so many CCs, he will do damage and he will kill you for sure. That's Rich.
Yeah, it's Rich's. And for my next trick, I will make Mighty disappear.
That's his trait. You have to nerf Rich.
All right,
somehow.
so my big question is, I want to hear from Rich. We might hear from Kyocha. It's a possibility. I don't know who we're really going to hear from.
I think we had Kyocha and Sake on the table, so...
I want to know why they picked Zeratul and why he didn't play the Task, or why they didn't pick a mage on Sky Temple. That's what I want to know. And I don't know if that question will be asked, but that's what I'm hoping for when the trumpets start ringing.
I'm pretty sure they were also surprised with the Cleave build coming out from Rich. I think it was a pretty good one against the Cassia with the blind, also against Illidan. It's a pretty good build, doing all the skill damage instead of the basic attack damage, which could be very lacking when there's blind all the time. And Illidan does not get basic attack when the E is on the entire time. So it was an okay one, but of course hurt them a lot starting from the draft. I think it's a very good question to ask indeed. And I do want to hear from Rich, too.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to see. I could be totally wrong, and we could be, like, hearing from, I don't know, Reset and...
Or Tist.
And Tist's Arthas. I mean, I want to ask him about that, but I feel like the stars of the game were definitely Coach on Rich today, though, in all of the games. The understanding of Sake with his fall stat play in the last game was quite powerful because he just knew when to macro, when to push hard, when to retreat. And we saw so many times he was almost killed by Good but then survived because the good gusts or the really cool Twilight Dreams to counter the big dive in. And Sake was like, oh, he's on me, and then it just didn't matter in the end.
I think Mighty had a very good chance against Black today. They showed a super strong performance at Sky Temple, but we are going right into the interview. Let's find out who it is from MVP Black.
There we go. Love those trumpets.
It is
자, MVP
Rich!
블랙의 리치
Nice.
선수와 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 오늘
Alright, the
승리
Marines
진심으로
gonna ask him.
축하드리겠습니다.
That's my prediction.
and
네,
congrats,
오늘 경기
Rich.
어떻게 좀 마음에 드십니까?
How do you like coming back into MVP Black?
이기기 어려운 호픽으로 좀 쉽게 이긴 것 같아서 마음에 들어요. 근데
I think we had a very
많이
weak
힘들었어요.
late comp, but I think we won. So
이기긴 했지만 아주 명경기를 만들긴 했거든요.
but I'm not too
누구
satisfied.
오더였었나요? 그런
그거
식으로.
사케 형이요. 사케 형이
어.
갑자기 딱 싸우려고 하는데
Sake was the one
할 때 이러는 거예요. 그러더니 혼자서 자기가 막는다고.
예.
that he wanted to go
딱
back
갔는데
all
사케 형이
the
다
way to the end, and
세 명의
he
발을
was
묶었어요.
defending
네.
근데 그때
그래가지고-
이겼을 때 되게 짜릿했죠.
alone.
네.
Was that a big win?
한타로 이긴 게 아니라 뭔가 그렇게 이겨가지고 더 짜릿한 것
어.
같아요.
Yeah, the Infernal Shrine, that was a big comeback,
캐리건은
so I think that
어떻게
was one of the most exciting one.
너무 안 좋은 것 같아요. 캐릭이.
How do you think about Kerrigan? I don't
근데
think
마이티에서 봤을
Kerrigan is
때는
too good
혹시
right
어떤
now.
기분으로 게임하세요? 다 터지던데요, 그냥 라인 자체가요?
그냥 말티엘 잡으면 일단은 라인은 절대
Look at
안
Martial.
지니까 그냥
Lane, I
라인전만
can't
무난하게
lose.
가서도 라인도 세고 한타도 세고 다 하니까
Laning is super strong. Teamfight is super strong.
다 이런 느낌인 것 같아요.
I think Martial is just
자, 근데 지금
overall
블랙이나
is so
이제
good.
마이티나 서로 이제 상승세를 타고 있었잖아요.
네.
이제 이 상승세 마이티의 좀 상승세 조금 약간
Of course, Mighty was
무섭다든지
uprising
아니면
very
조금
hard
긴장이
with all
된다든지
those
조금
wins.
뭔가 견제를 해야 된다든지 이런 느낌이 좀 있었었나요?
그러니까 마이티가 상승세를 탔던 건 맞는데
It's
그
true that they were
상승세가
winning a
이제
lot,
상위권 팀을랑 해서 탄 상승세가
아,
아니기
but
때문에
it wasn't
그다지
against the stronger
딱히
teams, so
견제하진 않았던 것 같아요.
그럼
they weren't
블랙이
too much of a
현재
rivalry
지금
going on at all.
확고부동한 1위를 지금 굳히고 있어요. 벌써 중반까지
So with
왔고.
this win of the
그러면
series, now you guys are
2위 팀
on
가장
top.
그래도 좀 경계가 되는 팀이 있다면 한
No,
팀을
Marine,
꼽자면
ask him about
템페스트.
Tempest.
어떤 부분이 좀
I think Tempest is a very fearful
일단은
team.
스크림 단계에서 템페스트랑 승률이 그렇게 막 잘 나오는 편은 아니기
And
때문에
during scrims against Tempest, we actually are not winning too
근데
too
문제는
much
다음 주에
during
템페스트하고 경기가
scrims.
있습니다.
So
좀
they
어떻게
seem
좀
very
그러면
strong.
좀 준비를 하신다는
and up
거
next, you guys have a match against Tempest next
일단은
weekend.
픽을 좀 많이 연습해야 될 것 같아요.
I think we have to practice
픽이 워낙 유리하기 때문에 그래가지고
the second
픽을
ban, second
연습하지
picks.
않으면은 이기기 힘들 것 같아요.
그래 살이 좀 빠졌죠.
네. 근데 또 다시 쪘어요.
또 쪘어요.
Did you
숙소 가서?
lost?
네.
Did you lose a lot of the weight?
그래요.
But I'm coming back. I'm
아바투르
gaining weight again.
숙소에서 연습하다 야식을 뭐죠?
Our Abathur
힘이 들
question
때
is,
가장 힘이
is there
든
any
야식이
snack that you eat in the team house that
연습하다가
makes
힘들 때
you
가장
get your
힘든
energy
야식.
back when you're having a tough time?
일단은 그 여기 바로 앞에